Good afternoon, everyone. If I may capture your attention, please, we will begin the meeting of this Program Delivery Committee. And at this time, I will ask for an update, for TIA update, Kenneth Franks to come forward. He is our State TIA Administrator, and he will be our first presenter during this meeting. So, Kenneth, take it away. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board, Deputy Commissioner. I'm sure Commissioner somewhere watching. I'm here to provide an annual update for the Transportation Investment Act. First, we'll talk about our 4 active regions. We have Central Savannah River area, which encompasses Augusta and the surrounding area. It is currently operating in collections for TIA 2, and TIA 1 is wrapping up in construction. Heart of Georgia is in the same boat as CSRA, and so is River Valley. So all 3 are collecting for the second 10 years, and we're wrapping up on construction projects in the first 10-year period. Southern Georgia is currently in its first 10-year period of collections and has the second 10 years lined up and ready to go. We will first highlight our first 10 years worth of collections for the original 3 regions. In total, we collected we collected $1.59 billion for the total of the 3 regions. $1.195 million was allocated to fund the projects on the approved investment list, with $398 being dispersed to the cities and counties throughout all 3 of the original regions. The original TIA 1 timeline, we started collections in 2013. The projects were slated for delivery by band, and they were broken up in Band 1, Band 2, and Band 3. We finished collections at the end of calendar year 2022, and we are finishing up construction on the projects in that little pyramid there at the end of the graphic. And we are anticipating wrapping up all construction as of right now by 2027. Now to touch on the collections for our active regions that are currently collecting, we have CSRA 2, which in just over 2 years has collected $242 million. River Valley 2 has collected $156 million. Heart of Georgia 2, $111. Southern Georgia, $446 million. And that is a little bit different timeline, and we'll get into that whenever we touch on Southern Georgia directly. But all in all, $468 million to fund the active collecting regions, with $147 being dispersed to the cities and counties for discretionary funds. Where does that put us compared to our original forecast? CSRA 2 has currently collected 29% above the original forecast whenever we were setting up the second 10-year period. River Valley 2 has collected 16.6% above, so we're ahead of schedule. Heart of Georgia 2 has collected 37.9% ahead of schedule, and Southern Georgia is at 36.3%. So we're doing good in all 4 regions in active collections. A lot of that kind of deals are, seeing the collections like they are based on the time in which the forecasts were put together. All of these were pre-COVID forecasts. Our sales tax data has jumped tremendously since 2020. And we've continued to see that path going forward. River Valley has kind of flattened out a little bit, but we've continued to see year-over-year growth in CSRA, Heart of Georgia, and Southern Georgia. So, talk a little bit about the TIA 2 timeline. We'll also touch on what happens whenever we collect the funds early. As of right now, we've collected, like I said, just over 2 years worth of collections for the original 3, the second 10-year period. We're in good shape to get all the Band 1 projects to construction before the end of calendar year 2026. And if we collect the funds before the end of Band 3, you would see that collections slide over. And if a continuation 10-year referendum is put together, collections would start the next quarter. So there's a situation in place, and we can go over that in a little bit more detail when we get down to Southern Georgia, because their first 10-year period is going to collect before they get to the end of the 10 years. To wrap all that up and kind of highlight how much we've collected to date, $2.5 billion has been collected. Roughly $2 billion to support the 1,809 projects on all 7 of the approved investment list, with $638 million being dispersed to the cities and counties throughout the regions. Some of the highlights for calendar year 2024, the TIA office let 142 projects to construction. We completed 112 projects in 2024, and we had expenditures exceeding $210 million. Often, the last time I was here, I talked to you about trying to ensure that we get off to a quick start for the first 10 years, or the second 10 years of TIA 2, especially with collections continuing to outpace the original forecast. We've continued that this previous year. We started, so far, we've started 441 projects. 232 projects have been let to construction, with 112 projects complete. Now, that is of the 778 projects that encapsulate all of TIA 2. So we're 23% in time-wise. We've got 56% of the projects underway, 30% of the projects advanced to construction, and 14% of the projects complete. So we're ahead of schedule, and as collections continue to pace at that pace, we'll continue to try to move as much towards construction as we can. Get into an individual highlight for each one of the regions. CSRA 1, we had 84 projects in total. The original investment list was $713 million. We currently have 14 projects that are active and under construction, 70 projects complete, and expenditures of over $422 million. We have, just to let you know, we have approximately $123 million that's still tied up in construction contract that's yet to be delivered. So when we talk about that spin down in that triangle and how much we've got to go, we've got quite a bunch that is active in those 17 projects that are under construction. So this will be one of the last regions that we close out. Burke County, this is the West Side Truck Route. So this is just outside of Waynesboro. This is a brand new roundabout. This ties together State Route 56, State Route 80, and State Route 24. This project was recently opened to traffic, and it is currently 95% complete and represents a $11.6 million investment in CSRA for TIA 1. This is the East Sparta Bypass in Hancock County. This project helps State Route 15 go around the east side of Sparta. This is a new location bypass and represents a $25.6 million TIA investment in CSRA TIA 1 as well. This project is approximately 66% complete in construction. Moving to the second 10 years, we had 162 projects that was on the approved investment list for CSRA TIA 2. The investment list totaled just up under $800 million. We currently have 53 projects that are in construction, 20 projects complete, expenditures of just under $50 million. Corridor that we would like to highlight is the Jefferson County corridor. This is State Route 4 US 1 widening. The county decided that there wasn't any other project that was more important to them than this corridor. So all the TIA funds that they had available whenever they were building the list, they said, we don't want any other project. We just want GDOT to focus on this corridor. So all of these projects are active and under construction. I think the northernmost unit is 22-170. That's approximately 90% complete. The unit blue, just south of that, is 82% complete. And the yellow unit is approximately 81% complete. So all of these are well into construction, and Jefferson County is happy with the progress. We've got Augusta Regional Airport here in Richmond County. This was a runway rehab project. Kind of shows what all TIA can do. TIA can do a wide variety of transportation projects. This project represented a $2 million rehab on runway 8-26. Jumping over to River Valley 1, we had 23 projects, total investment list of $410 million. Currently 5 projects under construction, 18 projects complete to date, and expenditures of just under $300 million. One of the projects we'd like to highlight is the Old Casita Road at I-185 interchange. This is a brand new interchange. This photo is a little bit older. I actually drove to the site yesterday. They're driving piles for the widening section of I-185 bridge. So they're moving on. We're approximately 58% complete in construction, and we're anticipating to have this project wrapped up by the end of next year. And this represents a $67 million investment in River Valley through TIA. Jumping to TIA 2 in River Valley, we had 45 projects. Final investment list total of $559 million. We have 2 projects that are active and in construction, 2 projects complete with expenditures of just under $15 million. A project that we would like to highlight is actually 4 projects, and this is a Coney Road widening section that starts down in Crisp County. We've got 2 units in Crisp County, and then it moves north into Dooley County, and we've got 2 units in Dooley County. So this will widen that entire corridor that is approximately 16.6 miles long. We'll do some shoulder widening and resurface the entire stretch of the roadway. This represents a $11.4 million investment in River Valley TIA 2. It's also a great example of what TIA can do as far as bringing two counties together to improve a corridor with a regional sales tax. Moving to Heart of Georgia 1, 764 projects, a lot of projects. $366 million or $366 million worth on the approved investment list. We have 5 projects that are active and under construction, 759 projects that are complete to date, expenditures of over $209 million. We have approximately $13.7 million to finish up and close out. So this is going to be the first of the TIA 1 regions that we're able to fiscally close out. We're getting close to that, hoping to have all the projects wrapped up in construction and begin auditing and finaling out everything early next year. One of those projects that was just wrapped up in construction last year is down in Wayne County. This is US 84 signal replacements. We replaced the signal at US 84 and US 341 at West Cherry Street and at West Orange Street. So these are all 3 intersections that were relatively close together. We did signal upgrades. We were able to improve the drainage in the area and improve the radius turns on a couple of the intersections there. And this represented approximately a $2.8 million investment in Heart of Georgia TIA 1. Heart of Georgia TIA 2 had 580 projects on the improved investment list. This had a final investment list total of $338,600,000. We have 66 projects that are currently active and under construction, 90 projects that are complete, and expenditures of right under $20 million to date. So we've got 263 projects that were in Band 1, and right now we only have 35 that are inactive. So the rest of those we've got up and going, so we're happy with the progress that we're making. There's a lot of coordination that goes on in this region just due to the massive amount of projects. A lot of counties and cities that are assisting us in delivering their own projects. But the guys are doing a great job of getting out, coordinating, getting those contracts set up, and the cities are doing a great job of advancing their projects at their own speed. And we're pretty much letting them go as quick as they can go with the way revenue's coming in right now. One of the projects I'd like to highlight there is in Jeff Davis County. This is some of our resurfacing style projects. This is Ira Graham Road and Claxton Road. These 2 projects totaled 13.3 miles. They were let in May of last year, and they are wrapped up in construction just in March. And this represented a investment list or a investment of $2.5 million in Heart of Georgia TIA 2. Now transitioning over to Southern Georgia 1, we had 151 projects on the original investment list, $408 million total. We have 17 projects that are active and under construction, 104 projects that are completed to date, and expenditures in excess of $166 million. We are, and I'll get in the timeline a little bit, we've advanced 80% of the projects to construction, and we had expenditures last year totaling $34 million. So we're continuing to push as quickly as we can down in southern Georgia, TIA 1. Here is a project to highlight, Brixton Road in Lowndes County. This project was a grade drain base and pave. The project length was approximately 1.6 miles, and this represented a $3 million investment in southern Georgia. It was completed in March of this year and just wrapping up and closing out. To get into the southern Georgia timeline, southern Georgia started a little bit later than the original three regions, with the referendum passing in 2018. So we've started collections, and collections have stayed above the original forecast throughout the entirety of this 10-year period so far. As of right now, we are anticipating that we will have all 10 years worth of the planned revenue after the first quarter of calendar year 2026. So we've got approximately a year's worth of collections to go, and we'll have all 10 years worth. We're advancing the projects as quickly as we can, but at this time, collecting the funds almost or right at 3 years early, it's difficult to advance the schedules whenever you started early on. But it's a good story because Southern Georgia 2, they saw this coming. They were able to put a new 10-year referendum on the ballot that passed this previous year. So we have the next 10 years worth of projects ready to go. As soon as we hit our collections goal for TIA 1, the following quarter TIA 2 would start, and we would get to move forward with the TIA 2 projects that we have. Just to highlight the vote in the region that was from May of last year, you can see some good-looking numbers there as far as counties and cities voting for a SPLOST. We were very happy with that. It was a 3.5% yes increase from our 2018 referendum. So we feel like that's a good show that we're delivering the projects as the counties and cities would like us to deliver throughout the southern Georgia region. And just to highlight what's going to be coming up next year, we'll be starting Southern Georgia 2. We have the approved investment list, or the 10-year forecast was for $820 million. We are anticipating that collections will start in April of 2026 to support the 209 projects. OFM's currently doing a good job of getting all the projects programmed for us, so we'll be able to hit the ground running. And we've got the agreements already secured and in place with our agency partners at GSFIC and the Georgia Department of Revenue for the continuation of the TIA program in southern Georgia. And with that, I will entertain any questions that anyone has.
Well, thank you for that presentation. That's very encouraging. Thank you. And we do have a question from Ms. Williams.
Three questions. So I noticed in TIA 1 and TIA 2, there's some overlap in the dates.
Yes.
When will there be a TIA 3?
So that process starts by pretty much when the counties decide they want to start the process. So I would say in the original 10 years, in the original 3, the regions were concerned that they might not pass the referendum, and there's an automatic 2-year wait in the law. So they tried to start 2 years early. With the way the votes went the first time and the success that we've seen, I would kind of advise against them starting 2 years early, because then you get in the situations that we're in where we're showing 30% ahead of the original forecast. When you take a forecast an additional 2 years early, it could go either way. And the first 10 years, we were dealing with shortfalls, and we were having these conversations on how we were going to, meet a $230 million shortfall throughout the original 3 regions. So we had to work to keep scopes down and stay really sharp on the budgets through the first 10 years. This way, getting the money in advance, it's kind of worked out. So,
Okay.
short answer is, I would assume, within the next couple of years, some of the counties are gonna start having conversations.
Okay.
And the RCs, the regional commissions, kind of help prod them along and help them out on timing.
So you and I have had an opportunity to talk several times about the issue of those counties that vote against it, but get to to enjoy the fruits of everybody else's labor. How is the discretionary allocation used, and who determines, whose discretion is it at?
So each county and city receives their discretionary money on a monthly basis.
Regardless of if they passed it or not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Regardless by the old LARP formula, and that's in law. We revise that LARP formula, and that's a population and lane mileage formula that we put together every year, and we give that percent formula to GISFIC, and once the Department of Revenue collects the money, they send it to GISFIC, and GISFIC disperses that out once a month.
And then those locals manage those projects?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
can, any transportation expenditure that they deem to spend on it, they can spend on it.
Okay, so we've also had a conversation, but I want to return to it, because I'm still not satisfied. TIA use, our regional area, especially smaller county airports,
Mhm.
are very restricted in what they can use federal funds for, FAA funds for, the regulations around them, et cetera. But it seems like TIA allows more flexibility. Can TIA be used for local airports or municipal airports for improving or replacing aging hangars that they then lease out? So it's a revenue producer for that airport that they don't necessarily have, access to otherwise.
Right.
And if their hangars, and I've seen this in Columbus and in other areas, become substandard, we are losing planes to other states. So is TIA allowed to be used? Because I know our federal funds can't be, FAA funds
right.
cannot be, but can TIA?
So we have done maintenance on hangars, and we have built facilities on airports. To my knowledge, we have not built a hangar for lease yet.
Does that mean you can't?
I do not know the answer to that question. I would have to gauge legal assistance on that question.
You can circle back to me with that answer,
I can.
because, Columbus, we share a state line, right?
Mhm.
We're losing a lot of planes to the Auburn-Opelika Airport, and that's just not acceptable. So would you let me know?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ken.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ken. I feel your pain. It's tough to lose anything to Auburn, I'll tell you. Any other questions or comments from a board member? Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You kind of answered this as you were talking about when you first began the TIAs, the shortfall you had. My question is, it's great that we're having these terrific collections way above, but how's that affecting, in the sense of the construction costs that we've been seeing in inflation in that area? How are y'all looking at that as you do your project budgets and things like that?
So whenever we build we work in conjunction with the regions to
Correct.
build their investment list, and there is a percent of the pot that's held back to account for inflation as we deliver projects. So we had planned on, dealing with 3% inflation for, every year throughout the program. It's a struggle with certain project
Yeah.
types. But as of right now, we've been able to actively manage it, and we're staying on pace and able to increase our inflation rate every year.
Now, when we say inflation, you're not referring to CPI, we're talking about construction inflation,
inflation.
yeah, which is usually a lot higher than CPI, correct?
It depends.
My experience is always, when we looked at it, that's always the issue we looked at in the legislature, was construction inflation was always higher than your consumer price index. So I assume you're looking at as construction inflation
Yes, sir.
pricing, right? Okay, thank you.
Anyone else with a question or comment? No? Kenneth, thank you for that presentation. Very good, thanks. Next, we're going to hear an update from the Metro ATL project presented to us by Charles Robinson, Assistant State Program Delivery Administrator. Go ahead, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, Deputy Commissioner, members of the board, and to the Commissioner. My name is Charles Robinson. I'm Assistant Office Head in the GDOT Office of Program Delivery. I'm pleased today to present to you a brief update on some exciting mobility projects along the I-285 perimeter being managed by the Office of Program Delivery that are design bid build. I will also acknowledge some of the great work being done by the P3 division as design build along this corridor at the end of the presentation. I'm sure everyone here has traveled on I-285 at some point and may have actually traveled on I-285 to get here today. I would like to take a brief moment to provide some interesting statistics regarding the interstate. I-285 extends for approximately 65 miles encircling downtown Atlanta. It provides critical connections to three major interstates, I-20, I-75, and I-85. I-285 is oftentimes referred to as the perimeter, downtown Atlanta bypass, and rarely, but in some instances, State Route 407 or SR 407. The last stretch of I-285 opened on October 15, 1969, and construction of the interstate cost $90 million, equivalent to $574 million in 2023 dollars. And the entire route was initially 2 lanes in each direction. I-285 is currently 8 to 12 lanes wide, with the northern part being the most heavily traveled. Specifically, the average annual daily traffic, or AADT, on the top half is 217,000, and the AADT, on the bottom half of I-285 is 144,000 vehicles. Exits are numbered clockwise, starting with the interchange at Washington Road, which is exit 1, and ending with the interchange at State Route 14 Spur, which is State Route 279, also known as Old National Highway, and this is exit number 662. There are currently 46 exits from I-285, which reflect an average of about 1.5 miles per exit. I-285 is constantly being monitored by the dedicated staff at the GDOT Traffic Management Center through our own GDOT Navigator, which is our GDOT ITS system. And additionally, you may have noticed that practically all the interchanges include ramp meters that assist in improving the overall operational efficiency of the corridor. My presentation today is highlighting some of the ongoing interchange projects listed on this slide. The locations will be presented in clockwise manner, beginning with I-285 at State Route 9, which is Roswell Road. Here's the list of the 5 previously referenced projects that are all located within GDOT District 7 and Congressional Districts 4, 5, and 6. The total cost of the reference projects are approximately $400 million, but it should be noted that the cost of 2 of the projects are preliminary engineering costs for scope and phases only, which I will further discuss later in the presentation. This graph represents the current funding investments for the highlighted mobility projects broken out by congressional district. The light blue color represents Congressional District 4, the green Congressional District 5, and orange Congressional District 6. The Congressional District 6 cost is smaller relative to other congressional districts, primarily because the cost references the PE cost for the 2 scope and phase projects only. I will now begin with the I-285 at State Route 9 Roswell Road project, which is currently a scope and only phase. A concept report is currently under development for this project. Scope and phases are a critical initial step for many major mobility projects and assist with identification of various alternatives, potential environmental risk, and cost estimate determinations. These type of projects often involve detailed traffic and safety analyses. It should be noted that GDOT is partnering with the City of Sandy Springs, who also contributed funding to this project effort. Some of the interchange alternatives that have been considered for this project are shown on the screen. These alternatives include displaced left turn interchange, Divergent Diamond Interchange, also referred to as DDI, and the Single Point Urban Interchange, also referred to as a SPUI, and the Tight Urban Diamond Interchange. Since this project impacts access points along the interstate system, Federal Highway Administration's Georgia Division is oftentimes consulted to determine the need for an interchange modification report, or IMR, which is required, when applicable, for existing interchange modifications, or an interchange justification report, which is required for new interchanges. These reports, when needed, are included early in the project development process to minimize potential project delays related to major scope changes. The concept report development activities began in the summer of 2024 and are scheduled to be completed in calendar year 2026. Next, we have a scope and phase only project for I-285 at Ashford-Dunwoody Road. This project includes a concept report as a deliverable, and concept activities are currently underway. It should be noted that GDOT is partnered with the City of Dunwoody and Perimeter Community Improvement District, or Perimeter CID, who's also contributed funding on some precursor activities that have greatly assisted with this current project effort. The concept report development activities began in the summer of 2024 and also scheduled to be completed in calendar year 2026. The project alternatives at this location have been the project alternatives that are under consideration are an existing or a divergent diamond interchange, which is currently a divergent diamond interchange, same type, but the alternative has a wider bridge and more lanes to accommodate the projected traffic growth and the increases in the area. The other alternative under consideration was a single point urban interchange. The City of Dunwoody and Perimeter CID conducted an interchange alternative study from May 2021 to November 2022. The study efforts included coordination meetings with the GDOT Bridge Office, the District 7 Office, Office of Planning, P3 Division, and various other GDOT representatives. The preferred alternative at this time is to replace this interchange with another DDI with a wider bridge. I will now discuss the interchange at I-20 and Panola Road. This project is being referenced in this presentation since it is included within the project limits of the I-285 at I-20 East Interchange project being delivered by the GDOT P3 Division. The Panola Road at I-20 project is in the final design phase with a proposed June 2025 letting. There have been ongoing coordination efforts between the project teams for both the I-285 East Interchange and the Panola Road Interchange projects, and the total cost for the Panola Road Interchange project is approximately $110 million. This project proposes the reconstruction of the Panola Road Interchange and the widening of the existing Panola Road corridor from a 5-lane flush median to a 6-lane raised median section. The main line will remain an urban section and will vary from 2 to 3 12-foot lanes in each direction with a 20-foot raised concrete median, 4-foot bike lanes, and 10-foot shoulders that include curb and gutter and 5-foot sidewalks on both sides. The current diamond interchange configuration will be converted into a divergent diamond interchange, but with a full bridge replacement. The next project that I will discuss is the I-285 at Boulder Crest Road project, which is an interchange project currently under construction. The notice to proceed with this project was issued in calendar year 2022. The current completion date is October 2024. However, time extension is under consideration. This project will include a collector distributed roadway system between the I-675 at I-285 interchange and the I-285 Boulder Crest Road interchange. On Boulder Crest Road, the project will extend from approximately 220 feet south of Sugar Creek Golf Drive to approximately 525 feet north of Continental Way. On I-285, the project would extend from the I-675 northbound exit ramp bridge over I-285 to just west of the I-285 bridge over Sugar Creek. The reconstruction of the I-285 Boulder Crest Road interchange will require replacing the existing Boulder Crest bridge over I-285. The new bridge will have 6 12-foot travel lanes, 2 southbound through lanes, 2 southbound left turn lanes, and 2 northbound through lanes, 6-foot sidewalks on both sides, and a 4-foot wide bicycle lane on both sides. The total estimated cost for this project is $130 million. Some major construction activities completed to date but are not limited to include the completion of the Stage 1 bridge construction, which you can see in both pictures on the left or on the screen. And in the picture on the right, you can see a new ramp being constructed, and the area highlighted in red shows a swampy area that had to be replaced with backfill in order to stabilize the new ramp location. And this is a recent picture. The final mobility project being managed by the Office of Program Delivery that I will highlight is the I-75 southbound CD Lane Collector Distributor Road System from State Route 3 connector to north of I-285. This project is currently in the preliminary design phase, and right-of-way acquisition is scheduled to begin summer of 2026 and letting summer of 2028. The total cost is currently estimated for this project at $140 million. This project will consist of an interchange ramp modifications and new collector distributor roads adjacent to southbound I-75, connecting State Route 331, which is Forest Parkway, and I-285 in Clayton County. This project will also add a new southbound auxiliary lane from south of the Forest Parkway interchange to the Terra Boulevard southbound off-ramp. Impacts to Forest Parkway include reconstruction of the bridge with limits extending from the southbound ramp extended from the southbound on-ramp of the existing bridge to the intersection of Forest Parkway and Main Drive east of I-75. The major performance goal of this project is to improve mobility by allowing the separation of through vehicles with more localized traffic. In addition to the capital reconstruction mobility projects just referenced, the GDOT Office of Program Delivery is also managing some capital maintenance pavement preservation projects along the I-285 west wall from State Route 14, which is Roosevelt Highway, north to Paces Ferry Road, which will start construction later this year. The limits are color-coded on the map. As noted earlier in the presentation, I will now briefly review some of the projects being managed by the P3 division. The I-285 express lanes are intended to be a multimodal option, supporting enhancements for existing transit services and inclusion of future transit services. For the I-285 express lanes, there will be two separate public-private partnership P3 procurements. The procurement listed as number 1 on the slide is for the I-285 East Express lanes, highlighted in blue, with approximate limits from Northside Drive to the east side of I-20. The procurement list as number 2 is for the I-285 West Express Lanes project, having approximate limits from Northside Drive to the west side of I-20 and highlighted in yellow. The next slide references the I-285 East and West interchanges, which are also being managed by the P3 division. Both projects are currently under construction, and these two interchange improvements will improve traffic flow, reduce congestion, and enhance operations and safety at these system-to-system interchanges. For the I-285 express lanes, there'll be so those are the two interchange projects. And now this concludes our tour of the capital improvement projects along I-285 that are either in active development or under construction. I would sincerely like to thank you for your time, and I'm now happy to address any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Are there any questions from any board member? You did such a fantastic job. You answered all the questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate it.
That concludes that update. Are there any other comment or question from a board member or committee member, rather? Nope. We're adjourned, Madam Chair.
At this time, we will call the order. And I would like to ask our District 7 engineer to please come forward, Paul, if you would, and give us an update as to what you are doing in the mighty 8th district of our board member, Stacy Keith.
Well, certainly good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Deputy Commissioner, and then Commissioner. I'm sure he's watching. I was going to say, certainly it's not just me, it's my team back here behind me. It's me and a team of hundreds of employees that are doing, and I'd like thank you for the opportunity to present today a status update of GDOT District 7. All right, so to begin, I'm excited to share with you the continued success and the hard work of our amazing GDOT staff. We serve 6 metro counties, so that is the smallest, but I will contend that we are still one of the busiest in the state. This is going to be Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton, Clayton, Douglas, and Rockdale counties. So today's highlight will be, we're going to do a district overview of our district. We're going to highlights from the various sections, and then we're going to have some project updates, just like we saw some more, but from some different projects. And then we're going to talk about maintenance and special events. So District 7 serves 6 counties and 43 city governments, so that's 49 local jurisdictions, and a total population in all those jurisdictions of 3.16 million people living in District 7. And of the 11.29 million people living in Georgia, that's 28% of the state's population in just those 6 counties. Now, there are 977 centerline miles of roadway and over 4,000 lane miles of roadways, which is the least of the districts. However, as you can see on the slide, focus your attention on that VMT. That stands for vehicle miles traveled. Statewide, there's 213 vehicle miles traveled every day in the state. And of that, District 7 in those 6 counties has 27% of the vehicle miles traveled. And that's 5% increase from when I last presented 2 years ago. So not only do we have the most vehicle miles traveled in the state, but we're seeing an increase of that. And so this represents a lot of wear and tear on our roadways. This represents a lot of phone calls from motorists that we receive as the front door district to GDOT. So we are in fact busy. And if the center map shows we have the pleasure of serving 8 of the board members here today. District 7 touches 8 congressional districts. And as always, feel free to reach out to me if you get any of those concerns or questions in those 6 counties. So what does our team look like? Our team is 270 folks, employees at District 7 in 6 sections and 3 area offices. We continue to see an improvement on those numbers. In fiscal year 22, when I first started as district engineer, we were at 69% staff, and we were struggling. But now we are at 85% staff, and that is a wonderful number. We can see the improvement, and I see it every day in the hard work that our employees do. And so I like to acknowledge our HR teams, not only just at the district, but also down here at the state, our district managers, and then many others who participated on online job fairs, retention and recruitment efforts, and then our district employees. A lot of our district employees, our new ones, come in by referral from our current employees. So it's obviously GDOT's a good place to work. So, and then also with the turnover, we're developing our new staff is critical. We have partnered with our downtown office to really highlight our intern program. And in 2024 and it's been going on for some time, but in 2024 and 2025, we've actually had over 10 to 11 interns that are going to be starting with us here at the summer. And 5 of those over the last 2 years have started as GDOT employees. So our interns are loving what they see here and the work that they're doing at the district, as well as here at GDOT as a whole. So filling our vacancies and retaining our team members remains a top priority. Talking a little bit about customer service, the commissioner has always stated that Atlanta is a world-class city, and as such, customer service is our #1 goal, as well as our #1 challenge. Last fiscal year, you can see by the chart, we had 344 inquiries come in through our remedy system. And that doesn't include the 511 inquiries. That doesn't include just the different phone calls. This is coming through our remedy system. And I'm happy to announce that of those 3,000, 93% of those inquiries were resolved within 72 hours, or we got back with those customers. So our team our customer service team is doing a stellar job. as well as with our 511 call center down at the TMC. And this fiscal year, we're on the same track to cover 2,200 of the 4,800. So we're averaging, just in District 7, half of all the customer service inquiries that we receive statewide here at GDOT. And the second point is that District 7 cannot keep our metro area roads world-class without our partnerships in our local governments, our CIDs, our community groups, and many others. To get ahead of many of those inquiries and respond to the transportation needs, we have set regular ongoing meetings with our local governments, whether it's quarterly, whether it's monthly, to engage in conversation and to discuss projects, to discuss inquiries, concerns, different things. And with all the activity around federal funding and major projects, crash incidents, meeting 120 meetings in just the past fiscal year, that coordination is key. Next, development continues to boom in Metro Atlanta. You can see by example, this picture shows a high-rise going up in downtown, Midtown, and Midtown doesn't even look the same as just 2 years ago. This high-rise received a driveway encroachment permit. And so this is an example of the behind-the-scenes work. Our District Traffic Operations Office is working with private and public entities who request making changes to the frontage of our state highways. Permits consist of everything. It can be as simple as a right turn lane to as large as working with MARTA on their BRT corridor and route infrastructure around the state capitol. So all of our permits and encroachment permits vary in size and in scope. And so this fiscal year, we've completed 147, and we have done over 137 new and revised traffic signal permits. So again, another statistic on this shows the 61 permits that we've completed in these last 2 fiscal years for movies. When our driving shots and commercial folks come across, they come to us for traffic interruption permits. And so that's a good statistic of all of what our film industry is doing. And then finally, driveways aren't the only permits we issue. For every project or permit, we receive multiple permits that move or adjust utilities. So this year alone, we have 557 utility permits that we've had to work with our utility partners to review and approve. And we've had 16 projects that we've certified as a part of our construction work program. And that 557 is 18% of the permits statewide. As far as our local grants, as I stated before, partnerships with local governments are critical to the successful transportation system. In many cases, we work with our local governments to do safety and operational projects that are called our Quick Response Program. In fiscal year 25, this year, we did 11 quick response projects, and that totaled out to be a $2.3 million investment for that program. And on the screen, you see 2 examples. One of the things that we've been focusing on are those quick, easy win, left turn lane or operational improvement this is a turn lane extension at Camp Creek Parkway at Fulton Industrial Boulevard. It's a heavy truck route and truck corridor. And then we have here a pedestrian hybrid beacon, pedestrian safety, addressing the multimodal incidents that occur on our roadway is another key area that our quick response program focuses on. And when you make the Atlanta Urbanist social media post, you must be doing something good. So this is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon that was installed just in front of the Carter Center that we did this year. We also invested $30.1 million for our LMIG in fiscal year 25, and we're dispersing and working with our local government partners to disperse the local road assistance grants that came out this past legislative season. In pre-construction, we have our designers, our engineers, part of the district, who are working on 13 active projects There are a lot of projects. We just get a few of them at the district. But I want to include the quality work. You can see they're doing a great job in quality assurance and design delivery. But if you look at the top of the screen at this picture, we're exposing our young designers and our engineers to, this is a quadrant roadway intersection, which is an alternative intersection design at State Route 6 and State Route 5 in Douglas County. And so our engineers are taking on those alternative intersections designs because we're bringing in innovation to the area, and it allows us to emphasize safety, crash reduction, and operational improvement. And then lastly on this slide, right-of-way, our right-of-way team has been working diligently to keep up with the project baselines. They have done 10 projects and acquired 112 parcels this fiscal year, and our surveyors have surveyed 115 parcels. But I'd like to show, that bottom picture, it shows you a drone. It's actually a drone photo, and the district has been working with our intermodal office, the UAS team, to enhance the state's standard operating procedures on the use of drones for our pre-construction and construction projects. So our folks are able to get into a lot, even with newer technologies in pre-construction. In district construction, we're working hard day and night with inspection, project management, and oversight of the construction. We have 120 active projects that total about $1.69 billion. And so that's a lot under construction in just 6 counties. And that doesn't include the MMIP projects. That's just the regular capital improvement projects. We have a young and robust team of project managers and inspectors, and they're gaining a lot more experience on more complex projects like our I-85 at North Druid Hills, which you see a photo of at the bottom of the screen right there. That's right. And so we've continued to see great success bringing together our in-house and our consultant CEI staff to conduct those trainings. You can see the list of project manager trainings. And what that yields is those classroom trainings and field trainings really equip our construction project management team to exceed and excel at some of our performance metrics. One of the ones is listed there is that we're doing, we take a look at the bridge deck steel cover. And so when we build a bridge, we do an inspection of that bridge. And if the rating meets where there's a lot coverage, it gets a good rating and a score. And we can see that in 24 and 25, we're meeting at 100%. So that's something that's really good for our staff in the construction industry. So want to continue to move forward with some project highlights. I'm going to cover a project in each congressional district that I have, starting with Congressional District 3. This is on the west side of our district. Our first project is a single-lane roundabout project at Veterans Memorial at Connors Road. This is a heavily used freight area just east of Villa Rica in Douglas County. C.W. Matthews got this job, and it's scheduled to be completed by the end of 2026. You can see that the roundabout in the circle hasn't really materialized just yet, but they're working on the utilities in this shot. This shot is showing the utility work and other things that are going on, and so this year is when they'll be bringing in and establishing the circle, or the roundabout portion. In Congressional District 4, we have I-20 at Maynard Terrace. This is a roundabout just off the interchange that really resolved the issue of queue spillback on I-20. And this is this roundabout clearly is further along. It is a substantially complete. It's a $2.3 million investment. I want to highlight this one because next month, we're going to have the International Roundabout, TRB's International Roundabout and Alternative Geometric Design Conference hosted right here in Atlanta. And the folks in that conference are going to be able to tour one of Georgia's just built, newly constructed roundabouts as a part of that conference. So a lot of work has been done, and our roundabouts are being highlighted on an international stage. In the mighty Congressional District 5, the mighty 5th Congressional District. We have the State Route 3 Northside Drive from Rhodes Street to MLK Drive. This is going to widen Northside Drive. It's particularly focused on replacing the existing sidewalks in the west side of Northside Drive. This is really a pertinent and great project that's going to be finished by the end of this year in advance of the World Cup, because it's going to create these a greater and enhance the pedestrian experience just across the street from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's not only installing that MSE wall on the west side, but it's also going to put a fence median, you can see there in the picture, to encourage the pedestrians to cross at the intersections. In Congressional District 6, we have I-85 at State Route 74, which is Sonoya Road. This is an interchange reconstruction that turns a tight urban diamond interchange into a partial cloverleaf interchange design. This project will also widen the bridge of State Route 74 and resolve the issues of queue spillback onto I-85 in the southbound direction. It is scheduled to be completed by late 2027, and it is an $81 million investment.
All the future needs some spectacular success.
Okay. There you go. Remember that. I got to write that down. All right. In Congressional District 7, we have State Route 9 from Upper Hembry Road to Windward Parkway. This is a widening of State Route 9 through the heart of Alpharetta, the city of Alpharetta. This project is going to widen State Route 9 from 2 to 4 lanes, and it installs ADA and pedestrian enhancements throughout the corridor, as well as realign some of the intersections throughout. The scheduled completion of this project is early 2026, and it is a $50 million investment. In Congressional District 11, this project is I-75 at Acres Mill. It is a new express lane entrance and exit and extends the northwest corridor and brings it down into the Acres Mill area. This project I wanted to highlight because it emphasizes the partnership that we had with other agencies. In this case, it was a partnership with the Cumberland CID. This project is substantially complete. It is a $27 million investment, and it is operational and ongoing. In Congressional District 13, we have another interchange reconstruction project, I-20 at State Route 138 and State Route 20, and this is in the heart of Conyers. This project is going to reconstruct this interchange to be a single-point urban interchange, where you're going to bring everybody to a single intersection instead of 2 intersections when you get off of I-20. This project just began, and it is scheduled to be completed in 2028, and it is an $85.2 million investment. And then lastly, Congressional District 14, this project is State Route 360 from New Macklin Road to State Route 20 in Paulding County. This project widens 9 miles of State Route 360 from 2 to 4 lanes, and it's on the west side of Cobb County as you go into the Paulding County, and it is an $88 million investment, and the scheduled completion is for winter of this year. So we are on track, and we have a lot of work going on in this district. Now, hopping over to maintenance. Maintenance is, in fact, the largest function of the district, with 195 of the 300 employees that we have, and we tackle all of our district needs with our in-house. We have a lot of service contracts. The list of service contracts you can see there's listed below, as well as our ITB, which are the invitation to bids, and our rapid maintenance contracts, the RMR contracts, that allow us to get work done via contractors directly in the given areas that you see. And this year, we had 24 invitation to bids and 54 RMR projects, totaling a $17.5 million investment. Pavement preservation, if you think back to what that chart was, pavement preservation of our interstates and state routes is our top priority. And it was the largest portion of that chart, 35%. We invested $6.1 million into pavement preservation. Much of the focus was on interstate slab repair and the repair of access roads adjacent to the intersection. The middle picture you see there is Dogwood Drive, which is an access road that's in the Rockdale County area that was in need of repair. And so that's one of the things that we use because there's been a lot of increase in truck and warehousing along those access roads. In guardrail repair is also one of our top priorities in the maintenance program. This year's crews have addressed 847 guardrail strikes just in this fiscal year in the Metro District. And because of the Metro strikes, we contract a lot of that work out. That's one of our service contracts, estimating a nearly $10.2 million investment. And then one of the thing that our maintenance team gets the most calls about are the things you see right there on the screen. Litter pickup, mowing, graffiti of our interstates and state routes. And on our structures, we address that every site. We have cycles of every 30 days for Metro interstates and 45 days for the state routes. Very important note, we post our schedule online. So if you get the questions, our schedule for the mowing and litter pickup is online on our District 7 website. And in order to combat this growing graffiti issue that we've seen around downtown, as well as out in the DeKalb and other places, we have stood up a dedicated graffiti crew this year to address those areas. And so we're also investing in deterrence to limit access to the sign structures or the areas frequently hit. Additionally, we are grateful for the partnerships we have with some of our local law enforcement and our local agencies, local governments like City of Atlanta, DeKalb, and Cobb counties, and social groups like Partners for Home help us in addressing the urban encampment issues on our freeways. The district is very, very aware of the growing safety concerns posed by encampments along and under our active corridors, but we strongly believe this takes a multi-agency approach. And so per our own urban encampment policy, that is part of our policy, GDOT's role continues to be cleaning up the right-of-way only after there is local agency coordination to address the people on the site. So this year, we've cleaned over 25 locations, and we've mitigated 15 locations with vegetation management, as well as bridge modifications on the slope paving or under the bridge decks to address encampments. And we can't thank our local partners enough as we continue to work through this complex issue. Special events. Another exciting part of our work is to partner with local agencies on special events. Last year, we were able to work on the college football championship, and we're preparing for only just a few small events coming in this summer and next summer, 2025 and 2026. But I would like to acknowledge the continued partnerships that we have in the City of Atlanta, Cobb County, and various CIDs, ARC, and others as we prepare for these major events that you can see here on the screen. Now, Alan, our state traffic engineer, is going to talk to you a little about the more specific parts of the event operations preparation that we're doing as the department, but I'd like to discuss with you just briefly future priorities that we as District 7 will have on the maintenance side as we move towards the World Cup and other things. So, if you take a look at the map in front of you, in order to be ready for the World Cup, we have to ensure that our roadways are in world-class condition. Fortunately for us, over the past 3 years, we have already, many of the state route and arterial highways were already on the schedule and the plan to be resurfaced. So it just almost hit right on time because you can see the darker colors on that map showed the most recent resurfacings over the past 2 years. And then that covers Northside Drive, which is a key corridor. It covers I-75 northwest of the city and so forth. The list on the left shows, in the light green, shows some of the projects that are either just wrapping up, finishing, that are in progress, like the south end, you have 285 to 85, the ramps, as well as the south end of the connector, which is 244 down to 285. And so we're wrapping up that in the spring, as well as the projects that are set to begin this summer. So this is this is not the last time you'll see a map like this. And then District 7 will also continue to work throughout the summer into next year, preparing our roadways and roadsides, our interchanges, with enhanced routine maintenance activities. We talked a little bit about those earlier. During the games, we intend to supplement the existing 30 and 45-day cycles with additional cycles for litter pickup and mowing. And we also will utilize our internal staff to enhance our graffiti detail, because we want to make sure we're covering those areas during the games and leading up to the games. And we're also coordinating with the City of Atlanta on several lighting projects to restore the existing lighting on the interstate inside I-285, and the district will also continue to support the TMC with maintenance items needed during the event operations portion of the games. So again, thank you for allowing me the time to share with you a lot of the hard work happening here in District 7. In the Metro District, we will continue to be focused in on customer service, partnerships, safety, and the great things ahead of us in the coming season. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. You do cover a tremendous area around the Atlanta feature, our state that will be hosting a lot of different events, and right now hosting quite a few. But I want to thank you, and as our group sees that we have 8 sections of each of our congressional districts out of 14 that is involved with District 7, which is GDOT District 7, which is our group that works so desperately hard in keeping our city clean and working towards the transportation infrastructure that is so important to us. And I know we have several questions. I have Board Member Ms. Williams that will speak first.
Mr. Denard, so you represent like more than half of this board, so this is for my fellow board members as well. I was in Canton this morning addressing a regional housing symposium, which included a lot of planners from your district. And as always, I had my GDOT lapel pin on. And I had 2 come up to me and say, "Oh, you're on the GDOT board?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "We love District 7. And I said, "Well, you know, District 3 and 4 are the ones that touch me, so I'm fairly biased." And they challenged my bias. And I'm going to have to go back to District 3 and 4 and say, we need to do a couple of things. You were so respected in that room. And so thank you for that. That was a pleasure to hear, and congratulations.
I have to say, it's a team effort. Appreciate it.
It truly is a team effort, and we're very proud of that, and it certainly shows with the information that you've provided us. We have Board Member Jeff Lewis that would also like to bring a point to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Paul. Thank you for that presentation, and also thank you for always being available and responsive. You're just top notch at doing that, and I'm very grateful. Makes me look good, and I need all the help I can get. I do have a question that goes back to sort of the beginning of your presentation. You mentioned, I think it was 137 traffic signal permits, and my question is, out of that 137, how many are brand new? Maybe all of them are. And out of that, how many needed a warrant? I'm guessing that'd be a federal highway warrant. You may not know that right offhand, but I would like to know that if you can get that information to me at some point, the number of new traffic lights that required a warrant to be installed.
Absolutely. I definitely will circle around with you with the approximate number. I think it was probably around 20 or so, if I had to go based on my memory, but I will circle around with you on that. But they are new signals. So we do have a traffic study. It's a partnership between our district traffic operations office as well as our state traffic operations, and then every signal is approved by our chief engineer. But that number not only includes your regular conventional traffic signals, but it also includes your pedestrian hybrid beacons or your, some of those other flasher signals type things. So it's different types of signals, but all of them are permitted as new signal permits.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Board Member Stein.
And I'd just like to add to the kudos for Paul, because with all else that he's got going on, that wide range of activities in 8 of our congressional districts, he was kind enough to give 4 hours of his time escorting a new board member around to show him a number of the people for about 4 hours and a number of the projects in there. And again, that's a tremendous sign of leadership, and your knowledge of each and every project and the people in there was fascinating. So thank you very much for that kindness.
Board Member Micah Gravy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, today is your day, Paul. I'll tell you what. I just wanted to say, over the last 2 weeks, two great things have happened. Myself and Mr. Dennis McIntyre went on a town hall tour, and I was lucky enough to see Paul Denard in action last Tuesday evening in Douglas County, where we met in South Douglas County. I know that there was probably a few folks in the crowd that were frustrated or a little anxious on some things, and Dennis and I were there, and we opened up. It was well attended, and Paul, and is it Jay Ross, I think, that was there, and then the local DOT folks, Suleiman Rana, and some folks from Douglas County. But I watched Paul literally disarm the entire crowd with some lighthearted jokes and some very thorough information. And everyone that walked out of that room that night was, like everybody said, very appreciative, very happy with the information that they received. And I think it's a testament to you and your team, Paul, and your leadership that makes us look fantastic, but also Georgia Department of Transportation as a whole, because that was a successful evening. And I want to say thank you very much for a job well done.
Do I have anyone else that'd like to make a comment? Paul, you did a fantastic job, and you've brought us straight into our next speakers. And I want to thank you and your team for doing what you do, as well as all the other districts, because it takes a true partnership, as you've already indicated. But it's wonderful to hear from each of our GDOT districts as you presented today. So thank you.
I'm telling you.
At this time, Paul had already mentioned to you about the World Cup coming to our region. So I think we need to know a little bit more in regards to what we're preparing to do, our event management, as well as looking at the preparation that goes into the World Cup being here, held in our state of Georgia and here locally. So with that, Alan, who is our state transportation engineer, will speak first.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Deputy Commissioner. I guess I should just talk about Paul a little bit more, maybe. tough to follow, but I am happy to dive in a little bit more into some of the work that goes into managing traffic for these special events that occur with greater frequency here in the region. And, with Atlanta traffic, maybe you think we have special events every day, but I'm here to tell you that there's a lot that goes into this. And I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like for us. So out of the TMC, we really have 3 main channels that we work these events through, and these should be familiar brands, if you will, to you. We have our 501, which is our public face for communication to the public. Navigator, which is what we call all the systems behind all this, all the sensors, the computers, the servers, the message boards over the interstate, the fiber optic networks, all the stuff that makes traffic management work in the region and the state is all branded under that Navigator brand. And also our SIGOPS brand, which is our signal operations, which really focuses on the arterial management throughout the state, and especially here in Metro Atlanta. They really are forward face on a lot of these major event and traffic management activities that go on. And all this really dates back to the Olympics. We broke ground on the TMC, which you'd see there in the picture, back in 1994, so almost 31 years ago, to really support that event, and we've been building ever since. And we have multiple ways we work through this. We see our heroes there in our CHAMP program, or our main aspect of what we do to manage not only everyday traffic, but also through these special events. So we have a number of tools at our disposal that we work through to make these events happen. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit to some of the more recent events and developments around these major events and a lot of the work that's gone into that. And it's really when we had two premier events come here to Atlanta in back to 2017 when Mercedes-Benz Stadium opened up. We had the National Football Championship that was being hosted that year, and then followed up with the Super Bowl that was being held. These are major events, major traffic generators, and we knew we had to work closely with our regional partners, local governments, the venues themselves, and many others to make this a success. So we had to pull in all of our tools, all of our resources, and come up with a plan about how to manage these major events. You heard a lot about the partnerships that Paul mentioned in his presentation, and that carries forward to the work we do here. The City of Atlanta, a lot of consultant private sector work, CIDs, World Congress Center, State Farm Arena, Mercedes-Benz, the airport, MARTA, the list goes on, even internally where we work with our other offices in GDOT and the district offices to make these events possible. It's a concerted effort that GDOT is honored to be a part of to help make these events a success. So it's a great team that works together to make them happen. And I think you'll see that theme carried out here as we go through this. What really came through that and through those partnerships is what we call the playbook. This is our special events playbook. It's full of great detail about how to manage traffic down to where to put the cones for these events. And this playbook was foundational and successful in delivering traffic management for both the national College Football National Championship as well as the Super Bowl and many events since then. It's a living document, so we certainly capture lessons learned through traffic management, and as conditions and context change throughout these events and how we approach traffic management, we certainly try to update that and keep things moving for us. As much so, it even carries forward to the not-so-planned events that we deal with, whether it be snowstorms down in Savannah, planes landing on 985, or certain bridges that have some fires sometimes. This is something that carries forward a framework for us of how we approach these major event management. It's not just for the football games, but it's also for these rather unique events we deal with in Georgia. And it really boils down to these key areas that make these things a success, these keys to a success for these major events. It's these foundational partnerships that we have with agencies and partners across the state. It's the infrastructure and technology that we have to deploy to manage these and run these through our Navigator system and SIGOPS program. And it's also the ability to be agile and to scale up to what these events may be, whether it just is a small concert or a major Super Bowl. We want to be ready and able to resource it with our partners effectively. Just some highlights from some things that came from these programs. This is a snapshot of a operational tool that we had running for the Super Bowl. It gave us real-time analytics on key performance indices of how well we were operating the system compared to a normal day. This was great for getting information up to executive management, out to public partners and media, and for ourselves to really know if we were meeting our goals for managing the event. This is something we've continued to build on with our tools and our technology to manage these kinds of events. I'll also highlight some of the success that's been here. Now, this is harkening back to an event a few years ago where there was an Atlanta Hawks playoff game, 2 Taylor Swift concerts, and it was Janet Jackson, I believe, right? All in one weekend. I did not have the luxury of going to any of them, but I want to highlight that this outfit, Streetlight, did an analysis on several events that held Taylor Swift concerts, and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium was ranked second in terms of overall impact. Now, I want to put an asterisk next to that because who was in front of us was New York City, and they have an extensive subway line going straight into their stadium. So I'm going to say we're actually number 1. But it's just a testament to the work that goes into these events to make moving people in and out safely and efficiently successful. I'm happy to hand over now to Sam Hindall from the TMC, our Metro Atlanta Signal Operations Engineer, who's going to talk about some of our recent events and what's going in for planning for the World Cup. Sam?
Thanks, Alan. Good afternoon, members of the board, Madam Chair, Deputy Commissioner. I'm happy to be here for the first time to talk to you a little bit about what our state traffic engineer just alluded to. So basically, the remainder of this presentation will take a look at some of the tools and specific types of technology that we have at GDOT. We'll take a closer look at some of the partnerships and stakeholders that we have. as well as the planning and coordination we're doing to prepare for the World Cup now. We'll also take a look at a few of the specific events we've had in the recent past, as well as looking forward to the World Cup and Club World Cup this summer. So first of all, if you take a look at the picture on the right-hand side, this basically is a picture from our traffic signal server that communicates with every single traffic signal that we have within the Atlanta area. We have a team of signal timing experts that are able to implement timing changes on the go whenever we need. They can do this remotely or from the Traffic Management Center, which you can see on the left-hand side. I'm sure many of you have seen it before. If you have not, you're welcome to come by. We'll be happy to give you a tour. Second of all is the coverage we have in the Atlanta area with our cameras, our CCTVs. As you can see, the map on the right-hand side, we have a numerous amount of cameras that we maintain. And if you look at the images on the left, you can see on the bottom, there's a camera right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We're able to pan, tilt, and zoom these cameras around, and our signal timing team uses them quite regularly during ingress and egress for these major events. We have eyes throughout the city. This is a very useful tool for us. So a lot of the coordination and framework takes shape through our regular meetings that we have. So we have regular meetings every month with Georgia World Congress Center representatives. That includes members from State Farm as well as from Mercedes-Benz. We meet with them monthly to go over plans and preparations, and we recently implemented a brand new meeting we have with the City of Atlanta every single month for World Cup specific instances. Lastly, we also have a monthly meeting now with the National Operations Center of Excellence. This meeting, we collaborate with different DOTs across the nation to see where they are on their timeline as far as preparation for the World Cup. And we bounce ideas off of each other. And we started doing that recently. It's moving in the right direction, and it seems like Atlanta and GDOT are definitely one of the very top front runners in preparations, and we'll get into specific reasons why here in a second. So this slide has a few different special events that we've hosted at Mercedes-Benz in the last couple of years. So if you look at the bottom right, first of all, we had the 2023 SEC Championship where Alabama played UGA on December 2nd, 2023. Furthermore, on December 30th, 2023, we had the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl where Ole Miss played Penn State. These types of events gave us a little taste of what a fan fest like a World Cup Fan Fest would be like at Centennial Olympic Park. We were successful with the ingress and egress of vehicular and pedestrian traffic throughout these events. As you can see, there are CCTV camera images where we are able to perform signal timing changes based off of the surveillance that we have. More recently, we hosted 2 Copa America games. On June 20th, the first one was Argentina versus Canada. As we know, Argentina are the World Cup champions, so they've already played a game here in Atlanta. We got a taste of the specific type of clientele that we would have. Soccer fans from across the world came to Atlanta, and we successfully transported them, whether it was pedestrian or vehicular traffic. We transported them successfully, and we did that as efficiently and as safely as possible. So on June 27th, USA played against Panama. So this was another very interesting game because we simultaneously had to facilitate a presidential debate at the CNN Center on the same night. So we had to be flexible in our framework and our strategy, facilitating ingress and egress while at the same time handling protests near the CNN Center. The most recent event we've had was the College Football National Championship. That was on January 20th, earlier this year. We had a lot of escort routes that we coordinated with police officers in Atlanta for. I've got a very interesting video I'll show you on that. If you look at this video here, on the bottom left, this is essentially what we at GDOT call a green carpet. Essentially, this is all of our tools. This is where our partnerships, our technology, and our strategies all pay off. We have CCTV surveillance of very special team buses or executives moving through the city. We implement timing changes instantaneously because we're able to coordinate with Atlanta Police Department, who gives us this information in regards to the route. So for this route specifically, very quickly, they went east on John Portman, then north on Piedmont Avenue before going westbound onto Ivan Allen towards the stadium. We're able to, that's why I wanted to show you the video. If you look at the image on the top right, you'll see at our Transportation Management Center, we have a police officer there in person. That goes into play when we want streamlined communication and we don't want to have any messages lost in translation. Everything from when these green carpets need to move to where we place the cones are all very carefully coordinated, meeting after meeting. That's part of how we are staying on top of these types of things. And this college football playoff game was January 20th, but the surveillance and signal timing changes were implemented on January 17th. So this was a 4-day event, similar to the World Cup. It'll be about a 30-day event. This is where things get a little interesting, actually. On January 20th, we were lucky enough to have representatives from FIFA come to our traffic management center to see how we handle traffic. We had 3 representatives from FIFA come to see our relationship with ATL DOT. They saw our camera coverage. They witnessed our traffic signal server with all of our signals communicating efficiently, and they only had positive feedback to give us. In fact, recently in a National Operations Center of Excellence monthly meeting, they attended and spoke very highly about GDOT's partnership with ATL DOT and the way that we run events here. As you guys know, in the past 10 years, we've had Mercedes-Benz Stadium as well as Truist Park. So managing these events has become something GDOT's very familiar with, and it's not going to stop after the World Cup. We'll also have another Super Bowl in the near future, and we're very proud of how we are managing these events, and we're being recognized for it on a national level now. So looking forward to the FIFA Club World Cup next month and the World Cup in 2026. There are a couple of different variables that we're still trying to work out. One of the things we need to do is we need to update our playbook that Alan Davis was alluding to. This playbook was created in 2017. Since then, there have been many changes in the Atlanta area, so we are collecting data from different observation points that you can see in the picture on the top right, and we are encouraging as much stakeholder engagement as we can. Every stakeholder from State Farm to Georgia World Congress Center to MARTA know what role they have to play. We're updating the ingress routes and egress routes, and we'll be ready for the AFLAC kickoff game on August 30th to test out our updated playbook. I wanted to share a couple of unique challenges that we have. First one is the growth of Lyft and Uber over the past few years. If you see this queuing, this is not a problem that Atlanta is facing alone. This is something that every city is doing, but we do have the strategies in order to resolve this and to keep our ingress and egress times as short as possible. We have a couple different strategies we're going to implement. Along with that, as I mentioned, CNN Center sometimes has a lot of protests. So we'll see protests at the same time, and we have the framework and flexibility to handle protests while ingress and egress is going on at the same time. A lot of that has to do with a lot of the pedestrian volumes that we get. And lastly, the picture on the right will show an event that Alan Davis mentioned earlier. It's where we had a Taylor Swift concert at Mercedes-Benz, as well as a Janet Jackson concert at State Farm. So we have to handle people moving, whether it's cars or pedestrian traffic at different times. We always have to stay on our toes to do this kind of stuff. So those are some of the types of challenges we face, but all in all, we are constantly, event after event, making improvements and fine-tuning our strategies.
Ms. Key, did you have a question?
I was just gonna mention to you, yesterday I was at a meeting hosted by the mayor about FIFA and all the things. They're coming up with some innovative approaches to a couple of things that I just want to make sure we're on top of, and it's not going to be centered necessarily in downtown. They talked about watch parties, so if the Coca-Cola company decides to have a watch party at their headquarters, or Home Depot or Cox, that impacts and takes a ripple effect through the city, but they're talking about those innovative kinds of things, so just be aware that those things could ripple throughout the whole city.
And I will bring this up next week. We have a meeting with ATL-DOT
Yeah.
and a representative from the mayor's office.
You mean the commissioner of ATL-DOT? We may have a meeting?
Yes, exactly. Good to see you.
Okay, but yes, they have a lot of innovative things, and it was very interesting. So I just want to make sure you're plugged in, and I will, as best I can. I sit on a couple of the committees. I'm going to funnel to you guys. Now that I know the who,
Wonderful.
I'll make sure.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, one thing we want to hit very hard on is improving the cybersecurity in Atlanta. Some of these different features we are doing are installing new routers into our traffic signal cabinets, as well as installing electric cabinet locks around the Georgia World Congress Center footprint and larger areas.
Absolutely.
One more thing we're doing is looking at the possibility of upgrading our server, our traffic signal server, to a newer version. Last slide here, just wanted to show you guys the schedule next couple months for the Club World Cup. We're hosting 6 games here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2026, as you know, we're going to host 8 games for the World Cup, including a semifinal. So part of the semifinal things to take note of are the fact that this is going to be a Tier 1 level security. So basically, Tier 1 is a classification made by the Department of Homeland Security in terms of the level of security for an event. So this will be the second Tier 1 event we've ever had in Atlanta. The one prior to this was the Super Bowl, and so this will be the second one. But all in all, I hope you guys were able to see a little bit of what we do in our strategies, and we're certainly looking forward to a successful Club World Cup next month and successful World Cup in 2026. Any questions?
All right.
Fantastic information.
Good job,
and
guys.
updating
Good job.
for each and every one of us. I think that we are all motivated by this, but giving a little better understanding and who's going to be working very faithfully on the movement that goes on in preparation. So I want to say thank you to you. Do I have comments or questions from any of our committee? Yes, Ms. Williams. Any others? Yes.
This actually may be a question for Paul, but there was an article last week in the paper that caught my attention, and it's where, the CNN Center no longer exists. And these things, and we have people coming out of town. Have we redone our signage as it relates to these names or lack of names that no longer exist? And again, that may be more of a Paul question.
Paul, would you like to come forward?
Sure, we have not received an official request on that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the efforts that we will be doing in preparation of the World Cup is looking at our signage, overhead signage, our destination signage
Right.
on all of the
Yeah.
interstate routes.
Yeah, because I think they've called the new station, because it's no longer CNN at GWCC, it's going to be called the Sports Entertainment and Convention. Oh, yeah, Marta's, yeah. Yeah, they renamed it.
Well, we'll be following up on that as we
Yeah.
go forward. Let's get
Anyway.
back to our committee that is meeting presently in regards to our prep from our department. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do you have any, this is an opportunity for the board to make any statements? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
What up, big dog?